Come on, you're all invited.
Come on.
I'm so glad the new TV season has started. It gives us all a chance to see next year's reruns early.
Well, tell me, sir, what do you think we ought to do about Vietnam?
Well, I think we should de-escalate.
Sure. That's easy for you to say.
I've seen the fall fashions, and nothing new is coming out. The old things are coming out further.
The Hardy and Pioneers really knew how to dress.
Are you kidding? Buckle shoes, white silk stockings, satin breeches, ruffled shirts.
You're right, maybe the buckle shoes were a bit much.
Don't let this get around, but I hear Hugh Hefner flunked his bunny test.
Gladys, I'd like you to meet Mr. Hugh Hefner.
Oh, Mr. Hefner. Harry says I look like something out of your Playboy centerfold.
Yes, the staple.
Oh, Hef, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
In my college, 40% of the students use alcohol and 30% use drugs. It's not a record to be proud of, but we have some fantastic football games.
You know, I'd get married in a minute, but I'm shy, and, you know, I can't find any clean pajamas.
Pajamas? Pajamas?
I'm all for school busing. I've learned so much more in a school bus than I'll ever learn in a school.
George Wallace isn't really opposed to personal liberty and individual freedom. He just doesn't want them to fall into the wrong hands. Well, Mr. Rosmenko, it's been over a year now since you made your escape from behind the Iron Curtain. How do you like America?
Well, it's very excitational for to be immigrationated, but it's one thing as all the criticalizations from the people. If they don't like it here, why don't they go fly a boat?
True.
There's a new Southern margarine out called Imperial Wizard, but you can only use it on white bread.
I hear the Pope is so upset because of the fuss about the pill. He has Excedrin headache number 9.
Johnson a lame duck president. He can't help it if he walks that way.
If all they do in India is meditate and contemplate, how come the population's always increasing?
By the way, did you happen to watch The Mothers-in-Law last night?
No. You know, I always seem to be working when that's on, but I hear it's fantastic.
Don't touch the contrast knob, folks. I'm colored.
You know, I don't mind a few drinks after hours, so after hours, let's drink theirs.
I think the bishop is getting too liberal. I see no reason to advise my flock of their constitutional rights before confession.
I met the most divine man at a party last week, but he's married. So I guess I'll have to wait a few months.
America is fantastic country where all people have cats and all people creationally equal, except in some states.
don't mind sleeping alone every night. It's getting up alone every morning that really bugs me.
Well, if General de Gaulle is good for France and General Franco is good for Spain, what do you think is good for the United States?
General Motors.
Oh, you should have been in my neighborhood last night. We had a grass fire. You would have loved it.
Hey, Dave. Did you hear the one about the...
They say that a woman looks at her hand like this, and a guy looks at his hand like, good heavens, I've got a hangnail.
Well, have you seen any of the shows on television this week?
No, this is the weakest one I've seen.
Why don't we go to the party?
Come on.
Come on.
George Wallace is really running hard this year. But then, anyone who makes speeches like that should run.
Of course I believe in life after death. My uncle died 2 years ago, and they still bring us magazines every week.
Personally, I can't stand Polish jokes. I married one.
At first, I was nervous about going to a psychiatrist, but after talking to him for a few minutes, he didn't have any trouble getting me on the couch.
Yeah, I hear the Stokely-Carmichael-Miriam Makeba marriage is working out well. But I just don't believe she refers to him as Black Beauty and he calls her the last of the red-hot Mau Mau.
I went out last night and got a little drunk. It was such fun. I think I'll go out tonight and get a big one.
And I say to you, sweet brothers and sisters, that we must get back to the fundamentals of religion. I say the trouble today is that most people have lost sight of the 7 commandments.
I'd be glad to join the war on poverty, but I don't have a thing to wear.
My boyfriend is so militant, he thinks a honky-tonk is a Chinese bigot.
Men today take girls for granted. Spend a weekend with a guy and right away wants to strike up an acquaintance.
America's a great country. You come it here, they give it to you pre-wine, clothing, apartment, and car.
Really? That happened to you?
No, my sister.
When I die, I'm going to leave my body to medical science.
You mind if I hold it for a while till they pick it up?
I hear Governor Reagan said that if he were ever elected president, he would bring peace to the world.
Seems like a terrible price to pay.
Thank heavens the Gideons put a Bible in every hotel room. These days, it's the closest most young people ever get to religion.
Dad, wait a minute. He is so confused. We better get him to the party.
Hey, that's a good idea. Why don't you come along, too?
Oh, you silly.
You know, there's one really good thing about the South Vietnamese army. And I don't remember what it is.
I know a girl just found out she's been taking aspirins instead of the pill. Well, at least she doesn't have a headache. But I sure do.
Paris is the most exciting city in the world. To me, it's the Burbank of Europe.
I simply quit the Peace Corps flat when they assigned me to Ecuador. Nobody goes to Ecuador in October.
Our people have made great strides in the South lately, mostly towards the North.
This is a very strange country. The people take it polls to find out how the elections turn out. In the old country, we tell the polls how the election's going to turn out.
Last night, I had dinner at a hippie's house. Of course, it was just potluck.
I don't mind rescheduling holidays to make longer weekends. I just don't think Ash Wednesday should fall on a Monday.
It seems to me we are living in a world of compromise and accommodations.
Well, if you're willing to compromise, I'll see to it that I get some accommodations.
If you can guess the number of pennies in my hand, you can take me home.
438,726.
Close enough.
Oh, the fellas at San Diego Naval Base just voted me the girl they'd most like to, well, I don't know what it was, but it sounded like fun.
Well, I don't know why there should be any question about capital punishment. I think everybody in the Capitol should be punished.
I hear our Olympic team has got a 26-foot broad jumper.
Oh, I love tall men.
Well, personally, I think working for a 20-mule team was the best political training Ronald Reagan could have had. After all, if you spend that much time with 20 jackasses, you ought to be a natural in politics. You know what I'd rather do?
I know what I'd rather do.
I know what you'd rather do. Well, let's go to the party instead.
Whatever turns you on.
You're all invited.
I'll always call England the mother country, whether the Queen takes the pill or not.
You know, music isn't just to be heard anymore. I mean, it's got to be touched and felt and grabbed.
Oh, sing to me, Bobby, baby.
Feel that.
When the scriptures say an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, it is not meant to offend optometrists and dentists.
Dick, how about a little nibble after the show?
Just blow in my ear. I'll follow you anywhere.
Back home on the plantation, I have taught my family to pick our friends the same as we pick our cotton. White.
I love Henny Youngman. I don't see why everybody laughs at him.
The biggest problem is for communications. What Rorschach calls bots, you call things.
I'm the only one around here I know who doesn't need a psychiatrist. At least that's what my analyst tells me.
You know, Parson, I understand that Detroit's thinking of a new safety device for teenagers. No back seats.
I know Mom loves me, but I have a feeling Dad keeps her around just for tax purposes.
I have no plans to get into politics myself. I figure I'll just settle for governor of California.
Politics doesn't bother me. On every proposition, I just vote yay!
Perhaps the reason more women don't run for the Senate is because every 6 years their seat is up for grabs.
You know, I don't really think we have to worry about Red China. Mao Zedong has a lot of internal problems.
Poor baby. You should see a doctor.
I used to go to an all-white school. Every Saturday, I mowed the lawn at Birmingham High.
For a woman, the two most beautiful things in the world are I do.
Yeah, and for a man, it's I did.
Oh, that's the most beautiful thing I ever heard.
Granddaddy always told his youngins, it's better to beat our swords into plowshares. You hit a man with a plowshare, he's gonna know he's been hit.
When a minister aspires to become bishop, must the psychiatrist refer to it as a case of alter ego?
In Russia, we know got it problems with smudges with the automobiles. The biggest problem we have is with horses because of rabiosis of yetics, unless it's cold outside.
Speaking of fashion, I have an outfit for almost every day of the week. How do you like it?
If America's popularity in the world isn't dwindling, how come my daddy's factory just got an order from the State Department for 10,000 asbestos flags?
That new TV program, Julia, is a television first. It's the only black and white show that's done in real color.
Before dinner, so I got a Japanese houseboy. Oh, he makes the most marvelous drinks, darling.
Yeah, I hear Richard Nixon's campaign plane is having mechanical trouble. It seems its right wing is a little heavier than its left.
I'll make a deal with you. We'll stop marrying your sisters if you'll stop stealing our music.
Let's see. That leaves us with White Christmas and Mersey Dotes.
Mr. Marceau, are all Frenchmen as romantic as people say?
I don't know, monsieur. I have never been out with one.
Priests should make perfect husbands. After all, they've already taken vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience.
I do a lot of charity work. I spent all day yesterday reading to the deaf.
You know, we only went into Vietnam as advisors. Last week, our planes dropped over 400,000 tons of advice.
Hello. You should have been with Iris and Rose last night. A couple of potted plants if I ever saw any.
It's very good to watch a television in the US of A. In the old country, everyone has TV set in room, but it watches you.
Last night, a big brute jumped out of the bushes and hugged me and kissed me for hours before he could get away.
I have a wonderful idea. Let's go up to my place and watch Johnny Carson.
I've got a better idea. Why don't we go to your place and let Johnny Carson watch us?
No, I had to quit the Peace Corps. I couldn't take any more of their backward ways.
Oh, really? What were you, a missionary in some primitive country?
No, private secretary to Mayor Daley.
Boris and I go to this nudist camp, but they let us hide behind musical instruments. Like Boris is a bass fiddle, and me, well,
Our granddaddy, the colonel, taught us never, ever, ever to go out with a colored girl, especially to a public place.
I never admitted this before, but on our honeymoon, my wife's mother slept in the same room with us. Did you ever try to save a good yell till you got outside?
Do you think you could put this show on French television?
You couldn't even put this show on French postcards.
Hey, let's go to the party.
Don't push me! Don't push me!
Come on, let's all push along to the party. Get up.
Our people are making some progress. Last year we got our first colored hurricane, Beulah.
Say, lady.
Oh, yes. Handsome man.
What do you, it's not a whole paragraph. I just have one question for you. What do you think of the stop and frisk law?
I'm glad you asked. I love it. Last night I stopped and frisked 15 policemen.
Now that the Olympic Games are over, the Russians women team can go home to their wives.
When I was a kid in school, I didn't do very well. It's not easy getting from the back of the bus to the front of the class in Mississippi.
I know a nun who's very upset about the new shorter habits. One of the reasons she joined the convent was she had bad legs.
Bureau said we can't get married because the cost of living is too high. And besides, he doesn't like me anyway.
You know, after you dropped me off last night, I dreamt that we did some wonderful things together.
Well, in the first place, I didn't drop you off. In the second place, we did some wonderful things.
I think the reason for the world population problem is that the people in the backward countries are way much too forward.
I say the next time, keep the bars open on Election Day and give the voters a real choice.
I hear Raquel Welch visited several underdeveloped countries. Actually, until she got there, they didn't even know they were underdeveloped.
Oh, I had a terrible nightmare last night. I dreamt I woke up in a Tijuana tobacco shop without a match.
I don't mind Hollywood stretching biblical history, but when Moses appeared with the 10 Commandments, the children of Israel did not sing, "He'll be coming around the mountain when he comes."
We got all the Uncle Toms on our side. Now we got to work on Uncle Sam.
The Russians are talking about a gradual withdrawal from Czechoslovakia. That's like a dentist gradually withdrawing a tooth.
The pill just doesn't work. I've been taking it for years and I still don't get any action.
I don't mind jazz influencing church music, but I still prefer amen to one more time.
You know, actually, the Klan pioneered open housing. See, every time a Negro moved in, they blew his house open.
Don't worry about the politics of the young people. They're just trying to get back to the grassroots.
Hey, Fred, you know, my nephew Dickie got a toy M16 rifle for his birthday, and it's so realistic, it jammed.
I just got back from Vietnam, man. It's a groovy place to liberate, but I wouldn't want to live there.
My crowd has a new campaign. We're petitioning Congress to lower the age of puberty.
What are you doing after the show?
Same old thing.
Oh, my place or yours?
Kids today really have it soft. When I went to school, it was 10 miles each way. And my chauffeur never complained.
I used to go out with a lot of wolves, but now I'm down to about a pack a night.
What do you Yankees know about Negroes? If you really want to know about them, why don't you ask the man who owns one?
I hear Liberace went to South America and drew 22,000 people in one night. Isn't that wild?
22,000 people? Oh, with that ermine cape and those candelabras, they probably thought he was the Pope.